What is up, everyone, and thank you for tuning in to Don't Say the F Word, Pro Wrestling and Combat Sports Podcast, where we do not use the F word when we talk about professional wrestling. Shouldn't let your friends use it either. It is Sunday morning. We got a lot of things to kind of cover in the world of pro wrestling, kind of primarily WWE, honestly, at the moment. AEW did have two shows on Friday night. They were both good shows, great matches, but nothing real catastrophic took place in those two shows. Battle of the Belts was kind of weird, not having the world title on the line at all in Battle of the Belts or anything at stake for anyone number one contendership. Kind of a weird thing, but I get it. You're not going to put MJF on that show defending the belt. We are in a bit of a different setup right now. Trying to do some things to maybe change around the studio a little bit. But we are in a Riverside FM studio. Probably got a watermark somewhere if you're watching the video of this. Great spot to go to record podcasting. If you need to do conference calling, Riverside FM is a great partner, and we do have an affiliate link. I probably remember to drop it down in the description somewhere. I may have forgot. But you can find it on our social media. You can find it through our LinkedIn, our Linktree, and get yourself some savings there if you want to start a podcast through Riverside. Let's talk a little bit about Smackdown. It kicked off the show with the Bloodline coming in, throwing chairs around, doing their best NWO impression, which is definitely how the Bloodline should be functioning at the moment. They should definitely be very destructive and leaning more toward a heel nature, because it's kind of a struggle to decide what the Bloodline actually is. Are they heels? Are they baby faces? It's kind of hard to call it. The crowd is definitely, they're definitely over. The crowd definitely loves Sami Zayn. But they kicked it off, Roman being pretty pissed at Sami. He was, Sami wanted to be the tribal chief. If Sami wanted to be him, Sami emphatically no. But KO interfered in that kind of dressing down of Sami Zayn by Roman Reigns and challenged Roman to a match at Rumble. And Roman just nonchalantly accepted that match. I think they could have let Roman get that a little bit more tense like they did with the honorary Uso shirt. I think that moment was a lot more suspenseful for the crowd. I think the crowd definitely was feeling a lot more sympathy for Sami at the idea that Roman was potentially turning on him, and I don't think we allowed that to cook with this segment. But it got the point across that Roman recognizes that maybe Sami is a little too over, and maybe that's a threat to Roman. Now, later on in the show, they did clean that up. Roman apologized to Sami, which I think was a good thing to show some vulnerability toward Roman Reigns. We also had the Usos. The main event was the Usos versus Sheamus and Drew McIntyre. The Usos pulled off that victory, which kind of a no-brainer that the Usos were going to pull off that victory. We did have Butch come out and attack Solo Sikoa and some back and forth there. I think that the fact that they're still continuing with the Brawling Brutes and the Bloodline feud is really, really good. It's very, I like that they didn't drop it after War Games, and there's still a lot of animosity, and there's still a lot of story to be told between those two factions. Ricochet also faced Top Dollar, and Hit Row turned heel. I think it's crazy that they took Hit Row and they're turning them heel based off of Top Dollar's botch of trying to do a tope over the top. I do believe that was the catalyst. I don't think there was a plan to turn Hit Row heel, at least certainly not now. But having to turn heel on Ricochet, now they're going to build the Ricochet Braun Strowman force against Hit Row, which leads me to think there's no chance Braun Strowman beats Gunther for the IC title, which is a good thing. Braun Strowman should not be beating Gunther. I think all the matches on SmackDown were good. We did have Kofi Kingston versus Santos Escobar. I want them to just kind of leave New Day hanging out in NXT until we're ready for New Day against the Usos for all the gold. I think that's really the play with New Day. Having them stop in for random singles, one-off matches as kind of filler, doesn't make any sense, especially have Escobar beat Kofi Kingston. Kofi Kingston just a couple years ago was the WWE champion, and Escobar beat Kofi Kingston. That wrestling match doesn't really work for me. Regardless of what led to the defeat, it's still a defeat. We also had Madcap Moss and Emma versus Karrion Kross and Scarlett. I don't know why they're doing a mixed tag match with Karrion Kross. Having him tag out to his spouse doesn't make him look like a killer. It just doesn't. They're kind of really. I get that Vince is back and probably wants him back in his helmet, but I just don't think it was a very good thing to have Karrion Kross doing a mixed tag match. Not even kind of silly, really stupid. If you're building that character to be the killer that he should be, that was, to me, that wasn't even an average matchup. We also had a LA Knight promo backstage talking about the Mountain Dew Pitch Black match against Bray Wyatt. I don't know what a Mountain Dew Pitch Black match is. I've seen something where LA Knight commented that he doesn't really know what the match is, but in the promo he said once the lights go out, so will Bray Wyatt's. I don't know if it's going to be completely dark in the arena for this match, and then they're just probably going to work in a bunch of spooky character stuff with Bray's Uncle Howdy and whatever other characters they incorporate into it. I really feel like the return of Bray Wyatt has fallen very flat for a lot of fans. I've said it multiple times on the show that I really think people need to give it time and let it cook and let them tell a deep story. I just think they're taking their good old time with it. I don't know how. I mean, Bray has done a couple matches at house shows, so he's physically ready to go. I don't know why put it off till Rumble if you're going to have him do house shows. So why put the TV thing off until Rumble for a gimmicky match when in the past when they've had Bray Wyatt do these gimmicky matches and these spooky things, it's never been a hit. It's kind of always been a bit of a miss. Like, I liked the Firefly Funhouse match with John Cena. Everybody liked that. But a lot of the other ones were just kind of meh. I don't think anyone really, they're not on anyone's top 10 greatest matches list by any means. And I just don't think they're giving Bray an opportunity to do the in-ring work to support the character work. And once he gets in the ring and we're getting him in matches, hopefully this will be better and he'll get wheels under it and things will start going and the story will progress. I do think he's done a great job of getting LA Knight over. I think LA Knight's his promo work's been really good. And I think he's really done a great job getting things across to fans through his promos, whether it be backstage, in the ring. He's done very, very well. So I think, if anything, Bray Wyatt's return has benefited LA Knight, which is the first time something involving Bray Wyatt since The Fiend has actually benefited another superstar. So I think that's good. But I just don't know where we're going with Bray Wyatt. The situation seems like maybe whatever road it was they were going to go down, maybe things got derailed. It's said that no one really knows who Uncle Howdy is, that backstage, that whoever's playing the character stays in the get-up, so no one really knows. I think it seems very probable that it's Bo Dallas. I think Bo Dallas is the most likely choice. It makes the most sense. It would be a good story. Whether we get there or not, who knows? Hopefully that's the case, but we'll see. I do think, all the matches on SmackDown I think were very good, above average, except for the mixed tag match, just because to me it didn't really make any sense. We did get a Charlotte Flair promo. I don't even know what the plan is with Charlotte. I don't think you're going to create a situation where fans like Charlotte Flair, so I don't know. I mean, taking a belt off Rousey is going to get people to cheer, but I don't think there's a real... We're not going to do a character shift. She's just going to do her thing. I think the goal is to get her more world titles than her dad and then call it a career. Which I guess is fine. I don't know that there's a lot of people out there who are huge Charlotte Flair fans. It's not pro wrestling that's really booked for me. So there was a Charlotte promo, I guess. Now let's kind of talk about the bigger news in the world of WWE, and that is the return of Vince McMahon. I'm seeing reports that Vince actually wanted to come back and get creative control, but the decision was made to leave Hunter in charge of that. I think that that's the right decision to make. I do think that if Vince wants creative control, he's going to take it. So I the fact that there was conversation out there that that's what he wanted to come back and do was head up creative and not just sit on the board and make those types of decisions leads me to believe that Vince McMahon will come back and take over creative. So hopefully William Regal got a good deal to come back, because Vince seems to not probably won't want Regal in charge of SmackDown. I believe Regal was set up to be set in gorilla position at SmackDown, so I don't think that Regal is a right-hand man of Vince McMahon. I think he's certainly, great friends with Triple H, but I don't know that he falls in Vince's favor to that degree, but I could be wrong. I mean, what the hell do I know? I do think if Vince takes creative, we're going to see a lot of changes in kind of the direction of the company, which would be very bad as we're embarking upon the road to WrestleMania. And once Rumble kicks off, we're moving toward Mania. So if we start switching up storylines on a whim and scripts are written for the TV shows, a few hours before go live, I think that's going to make things not be the most coherent. So hopefully that doesn't take place. It does appear as though that the idea that Vince is taking over the board of directors to sell the company seems very, very likely. They are involved with J.P. Morgan and having their involvement in helping facilitate potential sale of the company. A lot of speculation of who could take over, a lot of names being thrown out there by people, tons of companies, tons of media outlets, of course, would want a piece of a billion-dollar corporation, multi-billion, that has a global reach. $400 million comes in from Saudi events alone, let alone everything else from the TV deals, your IPs, licensing opportunities, toy manufacturing. There's a lot of money to be made with WWE and everything that falls underneath that umbrella. I do think that I think it'll fall into the right hands that will just kind of let it progress and go as it goes and leave people in place where they are. Do I think a more structured corporate landscape could be good for the company long term? Probably. The only issue is that you can't really bring in tons of people from Hollywood and a lot of TV writers who I think do have their place, and they can give some coherency to storylines and look to book things long term. I still think you need those people within the pro wrestling business, your Triple H's, your Stephanie McMahons, those people who've been around and it's been their life, who truly understand what pro wrestling is, because nothing else is pro wrestling. WWE isn't comparable to sitcom TV. It's not comparable to a variety show. It's not SNL. It's not these things. Nothing else really has the entertainment value of pro wrestling, along with the sport aspect of pro wrestling. Nothing else kind of fits that. But I think pro wrestling stands on its own when it comes to its own genre of entertainment. It doesn't fit into some other box. Plenty of talk of Netflix looking to buy WWE, and that was a conversation even before Vince's return and before an idea of selling the company. Looking to add some, exclusive content to their platform. I think that could be viable. I think Netflix probably needs something to bring viewers back to Netflix. Certainly they could do something with a lot of the library and get people binge watching, but I don't know how that works with the Peacock deal. I don't think Netflix and Peacock would have a great working relationship, so I think there would have to be some kind of closure out in that contract, at least where the network is on Peacock, which I believe is just the U.S. I don't think even all of North America is the WWE network part of Peacock. It might just be the U.S., maybe parts of Canada, but across the globe, you go to the UK, WWE Network is still just WWE Network. It's not part of Peacock, so they don't have a lot of the things missing that we miss out on utilizing Peacock for our old school WWE content. A lot of things were washed away with the Peacock deal. The reality is the unthinkable could happen. Tony Khan and the Khan family could purchase WWE. I know that's a lot of people surprised, but the Khan family has a lot of money. More money than the McMahon family. That's certainly enough money to probably purchase WWE if it were legitimately up for sale at something reasonable, but I think we're going to see this go for billions. I would see it being more than the UFC deal, which, if memory serves me correctly, was over $4 billion. I just think there's a lot more money to be made with WWE IPs. There's a lot you can do with the history of the WWE and the superstars and all that, and all the characters. I mean, there's a lot that I think a Disney could do. I know people who want to hate Disney, but I mean, if they can make a WWE theme park, they have my vote. If I could go and, if I could go to a theme park and I could ride a Cody coaster, I want to ride a Cody coaster. Don't know if that'll be the case, but it'll be it. 2023 is going to be interesting in the world of pro wrestling to see what happens with WWE and see if the company does sell, where it goes to, or if it's just a media rights thing, and where your major shows end up falling. We could see Raw and SmackDown on different networks. We could see a lot of things take place if the company sells. We are now today's Sunday, so less than 3 weeks away from Royal Rumble. We still don't really have a lot of entrants named. They did redesign the poster to include Cody Rhodes, so I think Cody will probably end up being a named entrant. It'll be ahead of time. He's not going to be a surprise. They put together the video package to kind of hype up his return. They first aired it on Raw. They re-aired it last night on SmackDown. So I don't think we're going to get Cody as a surprise. I think we're just going to get him as an entrant, and he's just going to probably win the Rumble, which is great because then Cody goes on to main event WrestleMania. It's a year after his return, he's in the main event. I think it's a great story because I'm a Cody Rhodes fan. I don't have any info as to what we have previewed for tomorrow's Raw. I'll have some of that tomorrow on the show. We'll do that earlier in the day so that people can kind of get an idea of what's going to happen on Raw. We are working to set up some more interviews in the coming week. If you haven't checked it out yet, we had Jacoby Laurie on the show just a few days ago. BKFC fighter. He has a fight coming up at the end of the month, January 27th. Go back and you check out that video. There's ticket information on there for any of you in the Myrtle Beach area. You can go and check out BKFC. It's the fastest growing combat sport, not just in the U.S. and North America, all over the world. They're in Thailand. It's going to be BKFC 35. It's their 35th numbered event, but they have done some different ones. They have Knucklemanias that they've done. So they put together a lot of events over the last year, and I believe they've been sanctioned in 11 states. Still not sanctioned in Nevada. I wonder why BKFC wouldn't be sanctioned in Nevada. That's a conspiracy theory you guys can just kind of go on a rabbit hole on. But, hey, Power Slap League is sanctioned in Nevada, but BKFC isn't. So that's a little weird. But that's all I got today, guys. I think SmackDown was a really good show. A lot of great matches. Good story progression. I think we could potentially see more of a Sammy turning on Roman in the Bloodline versus the Bloodline turn on Sammy. I think Sammy may want to try and one-up them and get ahead of it, but I think they're still just going to let this simmer. This has so much time to build, and there's a lot of avenues it could go, and it's always going to be compelling TV with the Bloodline. It's the best thing in wrestling, honestly. But that's it for me today, guys. Thank you for tuning in to Don't Say the F Word. Be sure to check us out on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. Don't Say the F Word Podcast. On YouTube, we are the Don't Say the F Word Podcast. The video podcast is available on YouTube and on Spotify. You can catch the audio version on Spotify and Google Podcasts. That's it for us today, guys. We will be back tomorrow with a preview of Monday Night Raw and any more info on Vince's, role in the company, if he's just heading up to board of directors or if he's going to start dipping his old finger back into creative control. Thank you for checking us out, guys. See you next time.